Ah, much better. What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Studio Series 110 Bumblebee movie Voyager class Shockwave. Now, with Shockwave being in the Bumblebee movie, well, he didn't have too much screen time, as he had like 2 or 3 scenes, but carried one pretty cool one-liner, such as, "Destroy the launch pad! Let none escape!" With the core class Shockwave rolling out in 2022, left fans speculating when the proper size scale of Shockwave would come out. And now, fast forward 2024, here he is in all of his glory. He's basically an upscale of the core class, and the articulation's a bit of a downgrade, as he doesn't have bicep swivels, which is something that surprisingly the core class did have. We'll get into that later though. Now, Shockwave here is a Voyager, but he's the size of a modern day leader, as we don't get to see big, tall, and bulky Voyagers that much nowadays. But hey, this figure does look cool too. But before we take a look at the figure, let's take a quick look at the packaging. So starting off at the front, the artwork of the Bumblebee movie Shockwave looks pretty nice. The artwork of the gun looks pretty nice too. However, I can't be the only one seeing Transformers Prime's Shockwave's gun right on the bottom of the Bumblebee movie gun. And for the rest of the front of the packaging is just words, names, and logos. Turn to the side, we got a nice CGI artwork rendition of Shockwave, and on the other side is a more zoomed in look. On the top is this nice Bumblebee movie logo, and on the bottom is all boring. On the back bottom is also boring, but on the back top, you get a little bit of info of what you get inside the packaging. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. Now moving on to the figure. So starting off, painting and sculpting, pretty good. I will say, they did a pretty good job replicating what he looks like in the movie onto figure form. Apparently Hasbro is good at that when it comes to movie Shockwave figures. The details are great, especially on the chest and the head. The arms look pretty cool too. I just noticed there's a little bit of weathering that doesn't really change the way the figure looks. If the smudge of weathering was a little bit darker, then I would have noticed it. On the other side of the arm, there is, however, an Autobot logo. There's no explanation as to why, but anyways, the legs look alright. What I find funny is how they reused the design of Optimus Prime's feet and slapped it on to Shockwave's. For some reason, that's always been a trend with the Bumblebee movie Shockwave, ever since the core class. On the back there is literally no kibble, unless if these count of course, but there is a little bit of hollow gaps and black holes as well. But there just so happens to be a little bit of mechanical detail slapped onto some places. One thing that's worth mentioning is that this guy is very purple. A little bit more purple than what the artwork replicates. And I like it. It's cool. It kind of suits this figure actually, as I guess Hasbro needed a distinct way to differ the Voyager from the core class in terms of paint scheme, so this is what they came up with. One thing I don't find necessary for the paint, however, are these little smudges of dry brushing right around the thighs and the shoulders. They make little to no difference, indicating that this guy was battle damaged, as when I first took the figure out of the packaging, I barely noticed. But that's just a minor nitpick, nothing too serious of course. Still a great looking figure. Anyways, I think it's time we start talking about his accessories, to which he only comes with 2, one of them being his nice arm cannon, which is nicely sculpted, and I gotta say, looks pretty great. There's a lot of mechanical detail added onto the gun to make it look a little bit more mechanical, if you will. However, there is unfortunately a big hollow gap. That's because you plug it onto the arm, but before you plug it onto the arm, there's a little bit of transformation involved, as you gotta fold in the hand like so. Close it. Oh wait, what the? Anyways, close it like that. And then on this tab right there, we'll peg into that slot right there. Just gotta properly align it, because sometimes I tend to improperly align it. But anyways, here's Shockwave with his arm cannon. But we're not done, as we got another accessory, that being this little stringy thing right here, which serves as a tube which connects from both the arm cannon and somewhere on the back of Shockwave's shoulder. Anyways, you just plug one onto the back of Shockwave's arm cannon, and then plug the other one on the shoulder slot right there. And there you go. There's Shockwave with his arm cannon. And I will say it looks pretty good on him. But I will admit, the tube is what makes things a little bit more accurate, as for some reason the core class Shockwave didn't come with a tube. Wasn't necessarily much of a problem of the core class anyways, but since the Voyager class Shockwave was coming around, of course we had to make things a little bit more accurate, and make things accurate Hasbro did, as this looks really nice. It's also worth mentioning that the tip of the gun is blast effect compatible. No. Never mind. Not even with the smaller blast effects do they want to fit onto that tip. I guess that tip was not made for blast effects. That's a bit of a missed opportunity there. And if you're wondering, there does not appear to be any weapon storage. Now this is completely random, but let's make the attempt of turning this guy into a head cannon. Rotate the head to this degree, bring out the cannon, extend it forward, and then just close it in right there. And there you go. There's Shockwave with the head cannon. It doesn't stay by any means possible, but it's an idea that you can do, of course. Not gonna lie, this looks like something someone on Reddit would do, and then post a picture of it. Did I beat them to it? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, I think it's time we move on to articulation. Starting off, somewhat of a tie ball joint at the head, which allows a somewhat weak up and a down, and a swivel. Full rotation at the arm, bend at the shoulder, which is on a somewhat ratchet joint. Unfortunately, no bicep swivel due to this tab right here, but they could have probably integrated some form of bicep swivel despite this thing. I mean, yeah, it would split the slot in two, but they could have just come up with a way where when you're done moving the bicep swivel around, you could just properly orientate the arm to where the slot is like this. And then there you go. Anyways, bend at the elbow, elbow swivel, wrist swivel, waist swivel, legs can spread, leg can move forward, can also move backwards, thigh rotation, knee swivel, bend at the knee, the foot can move up and down, and lastly the foot can also pivot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for articulation. Pretty much the usual, nothing different, other than lack of bicep swivel. But anyways, moving on to size comparison. Starting off with the core class Shockwave, Rumble, Dropkick, Shatter, Soundwave, Starscream, Thundercracker, Thrust, Blitzwing, Megatron, B-127 and Cliff, Brawn, Wheeljack, RC, Sunstreaker, Ratchet and Ironhide, Optimus Prime, Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime, and lastly here he is next to the Bayway Shockwave. And the gang's all here. Well, most of them. We are missing a few characters. Of course, we are missing Skywarp and Frenzy, which is a repaint of Rumble, set to come out later this year. We're also missing the core class version of Starscream. And on a side note, it would be cool to see the Cybertronian versions of Dropkick and Shatter. And to further expand the Decepticon army from the Bumblebee movie, what I think would be pretty cool is if Hasbro were to do a Target exclusive 3-packs, well, 2 variations of the Target exclusive 3-packs of the Seekers from the Decepticons, one of the multi-packs having a different shade of purple, blue, and green, and then the other multi-pack having a shade of orange, red, and a Cybertronian version of Blitzwing. But hey, it's just an idea, One interesting idea that would probably work. Perhaps something like that would surface on the future, but for now, not anytime soon. But for now, so far the army right here is growing significantly. But unfortunately, after Skywarp and Frenzy, the army growth will come to a screeching halt. For a while. But anyways, I think it is finally time we get down to transformation, which is pretty straightforward for a Voyager class. But since this is based off of the core class, of course the transformation is going to be somewhat simplistic. Of course there are a few tweaks, but starting off, what you will do is just fold in the hands, make sure they go all the way in, and then close it up like so. Straighten the arm, rotate it, and then it'll just close in like so. And then this controversial slot will tab into that controversial tab right there. Same process implies with the other side. And now we work on the legs. So starting off, untab this, rotate it, close it in, and then lastly fold in the foot. And then same process implies with the other side. And then next what you will do is untab the chest, leave it out like so, spread out the legs, and then push this down, make sure that's tabbed in, tab that in as well, and then make sure this is closed in all the way. Untab this whole section, move it up forward, and then close in the head, and then you're practically done. Only one more thing to do is work on the gun, which is pretty easy. All you have to do is just open up the front of the gun, push down this tab right here, plug it onto that tab, and then with the tube, you just plug it onto the same tab that you would in the figure form. And finally, here we have Shockwave in his alternate mode. And much like Soundwave and Concept Megatron, Shockwave's alt mode design was completely made up. I think. I could be wrong. But anyways, this is what the designers at Hasbro had to come up with, as Shockwave does look best in his tank form, but at some points he once turned into a gun in different continuities. I wonder if there's a fan mode for that. But anyways, like any tank, the gun has a little bit of articulation, and the tank mode also does happen to have rolling wheels as well as have a little bit of detailed treads, which of course don't move, unfortunately. Another fan mode that I came up with was an AA cannon, which simply moves the limbs downwards to create a sort of legs to hold the turret in place. And in all honesty, it doesn't look bad. Looks like a normal AA cannon, but an AA cannon would have 3 limbs instead of 4. There are a few issues with the tank, that being an overexposure of some robot mode kibble, that being the head right here, and unnecessary gaps right here. It just adds a little bit of emptiness to a tank, which I don't think a tank is supposed to have that. Perhaps an upgrade kit could come around and fix that, but till then, we're left with a little bit of a mess. Now, for a brief comparison, here he is alongside his core class counterpart, to which you could see a lot was borrowed from the core class. It's just the way the gun is integrated onto the top of the tank, and the way the transformation is a little bit changed with the Voyager. And it's alright. It's better that way. The transformation for the core class Shockwave was a little bit wonky at times, and due to the way the shoulder would tab onto the leg was a little bit frustrating. That's why with the Voyager, they fixed that around, to which they have the shoulder tab over here rather than combining with the thigh right here, and I think that was a good call, so hats off to Hasbro for that. One other thing about the difference between the two alternate modes is that the arms on the Voyager are folded, unlike the core class. But then again, how exactly are you to fold the hands on a core class figure? Despite the head still being visible on the Voyager, at least it's miles better than what was going on over here. It looks like Shockwave is, well, looking at something on the back of the vehicle. Well, anyways, the head is what moves the gun from left to right, which is hilarious, which is something that's thankfully not in the new one. Other than some minor differences to the engineering and major differences to the paint, they're pretty much the same thing. It's just one was $11 and the other one was like $36 or so. Voyagers are getting expensive now. Thankfully, occasional discounts exist. Otherwise, we'd be spending a heap amount of money. Not to say that I ever got these figures with their price discounted. But anyways, leave a comment down below which one's your favorite. The core class or the Voyager? Obviously, it would most likely be the Voyager. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I had to say for this guy. Overall, pretty great Voyager. He's taller than most Voyagers nowadays, and bulkier than most leader classes, which is a pretty interesting thing to say for Voyagers nowadays. Most of them are either the same size of their deluxes, or just straight up scrap. But not this guy, however. If you like big, tall, and bulky Voyagers, then this Voyager class Shockwave is just for you. Also, the arm cannon is really nice too, especially since it's got this tube to make things more movie accurate. And if that tube bothers you, then it is pretty easy to remove it. Dare I say easier to remove than the tube on the Dark of the Moon leader class Shockwave. If you're looking to pick this figure up, he's, I believe, available on Target and Walmart. I don't know, you might have to look for him, hence a toy hunt. But if you feel like picking this figure up real easily, then I recommend picking him up on Amazon, as he is available. Well, technically not really at the time of this recording. He is temporarily unavailable, but still available to purchase. It's just you're gonna have to wait until he's in stock. Yeah, Amazon does those type of things now. They've been doing it since Gamer Edition Optimus Prime. Or at least that's as long as I've known. But anyways, for my toy hunters out there, good luck! Now real quick, one thing to point out is there is zero indication of when the core class Bumblebee movie Starscream is set to come out. He was meant to release along with all the other wave mates, as he is in the same wave as Shockwave and Sunstreaker. However, there's absolutely zero place to look for him. Not even pre-order him on Amazon. Most likely he'll pop up on Target before Amazon even gets any. If that is the case, however, be sure to let me know if you find him. I'd like to know. And with Leader Class Swoop, which is a wave mate of Shockwave, he's coming out like 5, 6, or 7 months after the release of this guy, so yeah. Hopefully he might come sooner, but who knows. Eventually they'll all come, and I'll be able to do all reviews of them. Anyways, if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another video. Let me know how I did on this review, and most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See ya!